Oh, Israel, good to see you, man. How are you doing?
We are very well. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain. Just getting through the week as always, man. Excited for the weekend as always, but happy to be chatting with you, man.
Amen.
All right. Well, won't waste any time with you, man. But excited to see you back here, of course, next week. Big fight, as they all are for you. But long time since first non-title fight, man. So I gotta wonder off the jump, like, does that feel like kind of less pressure at all, or anything like that?
Um, does it feel like less pressure? Not well, when I get there, I put the pressure on myself, but without the belt being on the line, there's an element of freedom that I haven't felt in a while, and I'm anticipating what it's gonna feel like in the octagon.
Of course, man. And you think that's kind of, I mean, is that nice to have that? I mean, of course, the pressure can be used as good motivation to get you, as sharp as possible. Not that you don't try to be that way anyway, but I guess how do you kind of take it in?
That's why I put the pressure on myself. So yeah, there's that pressure I put on myself, but I'm not gonna without the belt being on the line. It's just like I am an entity on my own. Apart from being Israel Adesanya, like I feed a lot of people. So yeah, I like to keep the people that support me fed. But yeah, right now I just wanna like everybody's eating, so I just wanna show off.
Of course, man. And we always look forward to you showing off. And you did plenty of that in your career already, man. It's been a great, fun ride. And it's kind of speaking of pressure. I love this debate, Israel. A lot of people talked about it with Habib and how hard it is to go undefeated for so long. I feel like you don't get enough credit for going 20-0, man. When you were on that undefeated run, is the pressure of a long undefeated streak, is that a real thing?
It wasn't for me. I was never worried about losing. But you can feel it at certain points. But I was never worried about losing. There was just certain points in my career where I knew, like, example, the Costa fight, we were both undefeated. I was the champion, and he was really like, yeah, it was like, oh shit, someone's O has to go. So that was the most I felt that kind of pressure. But again, I don't focus on that.
Of course, man. And at this point in your career, still a lot of options, I think, for you, man. And I'm curious from your perspective, obviously focusing on this next one, but is there more interest in just general fun fights and matchups, or is it about regaining the title again? Maybe a combo of both. Is there any thought there?
Not just focused on Imavov right now. Anything else is just a distraction. And I never even focused on the belt. I knew I wanted it, and it chases me. So it won't be any different this time.
Yeah, man, and the journey to get there was really cool, as I was saying. And I think it's always fun to, you have such a unique career considering, the other sports that you did leading up to MMA and then what you did going through MMA and fighting in China, I think is a really cool aspect that not many people get to say that they did, and a very unique part of your career, man. So, like, how do
Before
you,
COVID.
was that?
Before COVID.
Yes, yes, of course. How do you reflect on that time period, though, man? Going through kind of the trenches you did in such a unique atmosphere like that.
I enjoyed those times in my career. I guess the low key anonymity I had at the time. I enjoyed traveling those days. Not a care in the world, a lot of money in my pocket. It was good times. And we're still having good times now, but I'm just famous now. So I'm very mindful with how I operate in this world.
Do you have any crazy stories from your fights in China? Because I've heard many from fighters who are, from the outside coming in. I know you built up a fan base there, but there's been stories about a lot of country bias for the Chinese or stuff like that. Do you have any wild stories?
Yeah, man. I mean, the Chinese they're very patriotic, and I was sent over there to be like a journeyman for their guys to whoop on. And just like, basketball teams or football, you trade jerseys or they swap,
Right.
kind of like that. It's like, okay, this guy's too good. We need to have him on our side because he's beating our best guys. And that's how I became Chinese. And my heart, China, even fuck those kind of things. I wasn't thinking about it that back then. It's funny because people think that's real. I was reading a script and I just thought like, oh, whatever, this is. I didn't think that far ahead, but I mean, I guess now it's funny for the trolls. So I guess, yeah, I am Chinese in that sense. But yeah, you can't beat them, join them. Well, I beat them, so they made me
Yes.
join them.
Recruited you.
and then gave me the highest at the time foreign contract in the fighting scene in China.
Yeah, big accomplishment, man. It was definitely a cool time period, and great to see you rise through it that way. And I'm curious, man. I know it's been a thing. Speaking of just kind of spots you fought in the world, like, will the career feel? I don't like the word incomplete, but incomplete a little bit without getting a UFC fight in Africa.
I know what you mean. It wouldn't, but
Yeah.
when it comes, even if it's after I'm in, if after I'm retired, it does happen. I'll still be there front and center because I won't shy away from it. I've inspired generations, especially not just worldwide, but especially in my continent of Africa. So yeah, when it happens with or without me. You can't stop it. It's gonna happen. The African takeover is gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And from a fight perspective, Adesanya, so many great moments in the career, and two big ones. I think that stand out, of course, are the Pereira win, and then the Gastelum. Just two of many, of course, but I want to highlight these two because I'm curious what you're more proud of when it comes to like the stories with them. Overcoming that rival like Pereira, or going through an all-time war with somebody like Kelvin Gastelum, which I think we forget because it's been a while now, but that fight was, one of the best of all time, man. So, like, when you compare those two, what kind of is more satisfying?
Hmm. Fuck. Yeah.
Tough one.
Ooh. Yeah. Wow. I haven't thought about that. Like, if I had to pick one, fuck. I don't know, man. They were both really exciting for their own reasons,
Hmm.
and they all both have their own stories. I don't know, man. That's how I want to pick. You decide. I don't. Both really exciting.
Yeah, of course, man. I had great memories to look back on. So I had to hit you with that one, of course. My apologies. But
Nah, that's right. That's all right. I was just thinking, that's a really tough one. I can't pick one.
I
They
don't
were
know, not many
both really,
people get to say they did that, though, man. So that's why it's, yeah.
again, those are only two of many. So it's like, fuck. I haven't even watched the Gaslam fight or the Pereira fight in Miami in fucking years.
Mhm.
So yeah, fuck, you pick.
All right, I'll decide for you. All right, man. I know we got to wrap up here soon, Israel. But before I let you go, man, you're such a technical wizard in there. One of the greatest strikers of all time, a possessor of many skills, man. But I want to ask you, like, what do you think the most underrated skill in MMA is? Because I think when we think of you and your striking, you see very well. Just great vision out there, which is a kind of underrated aspect. A lot of people, maybe in MMA in particular, can't quite possess. And I don't even know if that's something you can necessarily train. But when you think of what the most underrated skill to have in MMA is, what would you say it is?
Hmm. Underrated. First thing that came to mind was distance management. People don't understand if the fight starts standing on the feet. Like some of these trolls are like, "Oh, get him a wrestler." It took how long before I got submitted in the UFC? And even in that fight, I stuffed and fought off a submission, but stuffed a few takedowns in the Dricus fight. But again, my distance management is very, very well established. So yeah, I think that's underrated. You have to learn how to manage your distance, and you can stop takedowns and stop strikes
Yeah, good answer for sure, man.
before they even, before they even begin. So
Yes.
again, that's underrated.
Do you agree with my vision take, though? Do you think that's something fair to say?
Yeah, I agree.
Is that trainable?
The eyes, yeah, you can train your eyes. There's definitely certain things you can do. Training your eyes, you know, there's like all these exercises you can do for the fascia around it, but training the eyeball itself, there's certain apps you can use as well to follow a dot. There's
Mm,
reactive those you can do. Fucking NASCAR guys do it, I'm sure.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things you can train the eyes.
Maybe the tennis ball thing. I know that's a common one. Yeah.
Reaction, it worked.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, all right, Israel, I won't keep you any longer here, man. Great getting to chat with you. Always exciting getting to watch you fight, man. I wish you the best of luck with everything. Smooth sailing with, getting there and the weight cut and all that stuff, man. But I'll be tuning in. So thanks so much for the time and have a great rest of your day, man.
My man, thank you, Drake. Salute.